Over the last decade or so, Mississippi State has had some good quarterbacks with guys like Dak Prescott, Nick Fitzgerald, and most recently Will Rogers. While the Bulldogs have fallen on hard times as of late, Jeff Lebby I think is the coach to continue to turn them around, and he has a quarterback on the roster who is absolutely insane. He is the nephew of a former Mississippi State quarterback, has been hyped up in the state of Mississippi for years now, and in a couple of games in 2025, he has proven that he is the future of the Mississippi State football program. In today's video, I want to introduce you to Kamario Taylor. We're going to go through how he became a top 100 recruit, how he has done at Mississippi State so far, and why he is the future of the program. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about Kamario Taylor. Okay, so in order to understand how we got to this point, we first need to go back in time. He's actually the nephew of former Mississippi State quarterback Omar Connor, and Kamario started playing when he was 8 years old for the Macon Broncos. He was always seen as a big-time athlete, and he also played basketball and baseball at Noxubee County High School. On top of that, he was a track star, and he played football. But going back to middle school, a scout in the area said, quote, "As a young quarterback, I saw a shiny gem as a prospect. He has a great release, vision, and the ability to play the position." Him and his brother were both football stars, as his brother Jaden is also committed to Mississippi State in their 2026 class, and he had football in his veins as he was a fan favorite in Noxubee County. He had a lot of expectations, having the Connor bloodline, and he would end up being really good. In middle school, his coach said, quote, "He is as humble as can be. The best part of his game is that he can throw it and is willing to learn. Sports are in his bloodline from his dad to his uncle." Taylor ended up playing in just one game his freshman year, and unfortunately, he was sidelined his sophomore year due to a hamstring issue, so he had to miss nearly 2 full seasons of football, and it wasn't great. But at the end of his sophomore year, his welcome to the show moment would come as they were trying to get a state title. They would need a massive performance from him, and in that game, he threw for 282 yards and 5 touchdowns, doing all he could to keep Noxubee County in the game. In the end, they lost 55-52, and he was not happy. He said, quote, "When the clock hit zeros, we were on the losing side of it, and I didn't like that feeling. Something clicked in my mind and told me to go grind harder, to go get better, and to work harder." That night, he ended up receiving his first college offer from Southern Miss, and it seemed the Golden Eagles coaching staff knew how special of a talent he was when they saw him. He then continued his recruiting rise, as when he showed up to the Top Dog camp at Mississippi State, he received an offer from the Bulldogs that day. The next week, he was back on campus for another visit, and Mississippi State was building a close relationship with him, very early on. At the time, his recruitment was led by offensive coordinator Kevin Barbay, and they were the first SEC school and the second major school to pursue him overall. He ended up receiving interest from schools like West Virginia, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt, and having 2 offers from schools in your own state definitely made the choice difficult for him. He said, quote, "It feels good to be committed to Mississippi State. Them being this close to home, and they love me up there. I decided to go on and commit because I've not been getting as much attention from other schools, and State seems like they're the ones who really believe in me." Yeah, as I said, he played at Noxubee County High School in Macon, Mississippi, and it was about 30 minutes away from Starkville, aka Mississippi State. They took notice of the special talent, and his coach said, quote, "He's hands down the best in the state. I've got the best quarterback." He decided to commit to Mississippi State because of the coaching staff, the amount of love that they showed him, and it also made him feel like he was at home. He said he always wanted to play Division I football, especially at the Power 5 level, and now he was glad to be a part of that tradition. But at the time in October of 2023 when he committed, Zach Arnett was the head coach. Things would end up changing as Jeff Lebby was eventually hired, and he was always locked in on staying home and suiting up for the Bulldogs. Even with a coaching change, Taylor would never budge. In fact, landing Jeff Lebby apparently only helped his chances of holding on to Taylor. However, there was an SEC school that turned on the heat in his recruitment. Georgia only had one 2025 commit, and that came in 4-star Ryan Montgomery. He would miss his entire senior season with an ACL injury, and because of that, they would decide to offer Taylor and Jaron Kiawe Sagapuateli. Ultimately, Taylor would not budge, and neither did JKS, and Kamario also blew up into a blue-chip recruit. He ended up throwing for 2,900 yards and 40 touchdowns, and also ran for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns on the ground. He became the highest rated quarterback to ever sign with Mississippi State, and at 6'3.5", Taylor had the physical traits to be a star in the SEC, had a great arm, and was super athletic. He also impressed at the Elite 11 and was considered one of the most gifted players in the country. According to 24/7 Sports, Kamario Taylor was a 4-star recruit, the number 8 quarterback, and the 80th best player in the class of 2025. So, how did he end up doing in Starkville? Well, let's take a look. He was a part of the 2025 class, and when asked about the kind of impact he could make at Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby said, quote, "He can do it all, and he can do things you can't coach. He's got his best football ahead of him, the guy is incredibly intelligent, and plays the game the way we want him to play it, and just has a bright light inside of him and gets the most out of the guys around him." Mississippi State ended up returning Blake Shapen after he was injured for part of 2024. They brought in big-time transfer Luke Kromenhoek from Florida State, and then they had Kamario. In the spring game, though, everybody was talking about Taylor, as he went 8 of 13 for 124 yards. The expectations for Mississippi State were to get better and hopefully make a bowl game, but they would start Blake Shapen and then play a little bit of Kamario Taylor so he could get his feet wet for the future. But that's not exactly how it would go. In the preseason, there was a battle between Kamario Taylor and Kromenhoek for that backup job, and both of these guys were listed as a second stringer and would have to split time in relief. In week 1, Mississippi State would end up facing off with Southern Miss, and Kamario would get a chance to play a little bit as a backup, running the ball a couple of times. Against Alcorn State, he'd also get on the field, going 2 of 3 for 46 yards and a touchdown. The next 2 weeks would go by, and Kamario wouldn't play much, but against Florida, he came in on the road and scored a rushing touchdown. Fans were definitely getting excited for him, and as Mississippi State continued to lose more games, many were hoping that Lebby would just play him instead. Then he got his chance. Against Arkansas, Shapen ended up going down with an injury, and Kamario would have to come in relief. He ended up going 2 of 5 for 40 yards and a passing touchdown, and also ran the ball 6 times for 55 yards and a touchdown as well. Because of that, he was named the co-SEC Freshman of the Week, and this came after Blake Shapen had to be checked for a concussion. 3 plays into the first drive, Taylor ended up scoring a touchdown, and it just seemed that he was super confident. Things would continue as the following week against number 5 Georgia at home, Kamario Taylor would have to enter the game in relief of Shapen and played the final 4 drives of the game. He showed plenty of flash as he led a pair of second half touchdown drives, going 6 of 10 for 87 yards, and he also ran for 53 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Taylor was obviously much different than Shapen, and after getting blown out 49-27 on the road against Mizzou, there were many people calling for Kamario to play. Mississippi State still had a chance to make a bowl game, and every time he was on the field since the spring game, his talent was clear, he made highlight plays, and he seemed to give a spark to the Bulldogs' offense. After the team came home from the Mizzou game, Lebby realized he had to move things up, and he said, quote, "It was a really hard decision for me. I thought about it nonstop Sunday, and as hard as it was, the results hadn't been what we needed, and I thought Kamario was ready." He'd end up making his first career start yesterday against number 7 Ole Miss, and it would come in the Egg Bowl. This is absolutely huge for him, and Kamario had an interesting game. He ended up going 15 of 31 for 178 yards and an interception, but he did most of his damage on the ground. Kamario ran the ball 20 times for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a crazy score in which he juked at a couple of defenders and showed his immense potential. Unfortunately, Mississippi State would lose 38-19, missing out on bowl eligibility, but it's obvious that Kamario is the future of the program. In total this year, he went 30 of 55 for 388 yards and 4 touchdowns with an interception. He also ran the ball 64 times for 395 yards and 7 scores, and he definitely has a chance on being on the All-SEC freshman team. After the Egg Bowl, he said, quote, "I'm big on goals, and I set goals and I did not accomplish all of them, but I feel like I did well as an 18-year-old freshman. Coming in and learning a new offensive system and playing with new guys was totally different, and I could have done better, but it's God's timing." Yeah, obviously Kamario is the future of the Mississippi State football program, but can they keep him? Mississippi State is doing a lot of losing right now, and in the modern world of the transfer portal, there are definitely other schools and other coaches that have seen how well he's played. There's no doubt that another team's going to make a big offer at him, but with him coming from the state of Mississippi, being a legacy, and getting early playing time, I'd be hard-pressed to actually see Kamario leave Starkville. But what do you guys think? If you're a Mississippi State fan, what do you think of Kamario Taylor? How good could he be? And what other quarterback should I take a look at next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out one of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.